I messed up big time when making the last video because I didn't realize there was 4 pages for the intro to the course, which was lesson 0. I thought there was one. So in this video, I'm going over everything else that I missed. So 3 pages worth of stuff. One of the biggest things highlighted in the other pages of this course is the 50% rule. Now, this rule has a lot of different things to it, so I'm not going to get too in depth, but I'm going to try and do a little bit of groundwork for it here. The main thing it goes over is just saying you're going to hate this rule because of what it makes you do for a while. And I already think that I'm going to hate it while I'm doing it because of how it works. The 50% rule is built off of making sure you're doing an equal amount of learning to an equal amount of spending time actually enjoying drawing. When working on the 50% of play, which is what it's called, you can do literally whatever you want. You can do digital, you can do painting, you can do 3D art, whatever it is you want to do, that's what you can focus on in this time. When picking what to draw, if you don't know what you want to draw already and you're having a hard time figuring it out, something you can do is ask a very broad question. Some of the examples it gives is, what if the world was 90% water? Now that's a big shift in the world, so there'd be a lot of things that are different. It goes over, would walking be replaced by swimming? Would cars be replaced by boats? If we have less land, do there need to be taller buildings? It goes over that stuff and makes you kind of redesign the world around you. And it's not just that. There are many different questions you can ask yourself, which is what it tries to teach you when you don't know what to draw. Ask questions. A great way to retain the information that you are learning is to stop trying to learn more. You're never going to be able to retain all the information you learn if all you're doing is learning, learning, studying, learning, learning. You can't remember all of that. You need time to process it, which is part of what the playtime of the 50% rule is for. Something you want to make sure you're doing is simply making sure you're doing everything to the best of your current ability. Don't try and rush forward. Don't try and slow yourself down too much. That's the main thing that you're trying to learn here, is just do what you can to your current ability, and eventually your current ability is going to be better than it was. Now, you may have heard me talk about homework at certain times that Drawlbox gives you, and I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy for a while. To start, I know it's lines, boxes, and ellipses. It's kind of just how they start off the lesson 1 of the course, and I think it's just like filling a page or 2 pages or something. The important part when it comes to doing Drawlbox homework is you just do what they give you to do. You don't do practice sheets, you don't do extra sheets to get extra credit. It is simply 2 sheets is 2 sheets. Do what they ask and not what you think they're asking. Because what they ask for is all they're asking for. They're not asking for you to do 100 pages of something when they just want to. Taking criticism is another big thing I want to talk about because it's going to be a little weird and you don't want to self-critique yourself. You want to let other people do that. Letting other people critique you is kind of like letting your armor down. You want to let your armor down so people can give you their honest thoughts on what you can do better. It's not about what you think you can do better, it's about what other people who have more experience might know you can do better. Another thing Drawlbox talks about, which I was a little nervous about, is that developing bad habits is probably going to happen, but you don't have to worry about it because, along with learning anything new, bad habits are going to develop and bad habits are going to disappear. It's a process that happens, from what I've heard, through most things you learn. So once you do an exercise, it's going to move into the warm-up area. So once it's in the warm-up area, every time you sit down to start drawing or whatever it is drawing related, you're going to do about 10 or 15 minutes worth of one exercise or 2 exercises just to get yourself warmed up, get ready for whatever it is, and keep yourself sharp with doing those exercises from previous homework. It's not about completing 1 page or 2 pages when it comes to the warm-ups. It's just about doing the time and taking your time to do the best of your current ability. Something that is talked about on the last page of lesson 0 is the tools we use and how important they are. Now, we use the tools we use, aka fine liners, for a very specific reason. One of the reasons is being ink sets deeper in paper than pencils or some pens do. When it comes to certain pens, you can kind of sketch the line and then go over it with a deeper line. These, whatever you do first is what you get the whole time. You can't go back and change it. It is what it is. Now, it's important to realize why they do this. Part of why they do this is so that you are thinking before you are acting. It's going to be a new process for me to learn, but it's also important that you build that kind of confidence. I think a big part of what Drawlbox does is it tries to make you go through the uncomfortable processes so that later you don't have to try and learn them all over again. So it's going to be a little different for me to learn and a little more uncomfortable, but that's what they try and do. They try to push you out of your comfort zone so that you can learn better and more efficiently. So I think it's really important to listen to what Drawlbox says when it comes to stuff like that, where you want to do the uncomfortable thing so that it becomes natural and it's easier to do later on in the harder lessons of the course. When it comes to using printer paper, they really just want to make sure that it's cost efficient and that you're not stressing over having perfect lines and perfect drawings every single time. Printer paper is cheap and you can get so much of it at a time that you're not worried about making perfect lines or having perfect everything on the paper. The last thing I think they mention is rotating your paper can be super helpful and super efficient when it comes to drawing and not being able to get the right angle. Just rotate the paper. It'll make it so much easier than you think to just move the paper than trying to twist your arm backwards right over and just trying to draw the right line. Just turn the paper. It'll make your life so much easier. So I have to remember to do the uncomfortable thing, learning to draw from my shoulder, learning to think before I act, and whatever else there is in this course. I read so much last night. It was like 2 hours worth of stuff that I read and watched while I was super tired and ready to go to sleep. But not the point. I can't say I'm looking forward to the 50/50 rule, but I am kind of interested in seeing how it works, knowing that you're supposed to hate it when you first start, or you're likely to hate it when you first start, because you have to fail a lot, like every time. But then when you start to do good at it, you're not really supposed to care how it comes out, which is a little weird. You're supposed to fail and not care about the end result, but then when it comes out good, you're still not supposed to care about the end result. So it's going to be interesting and probably really weird. Drawlbox told me to do it, so I guess I got to do it.